edition, and in particular, we're going to be talking about the 2018 NFL Draft. And if you're unfamiliar with what that draft is, it's the Baker Mayfield draft. Now, I have been one of the hardest and harshest critics on Baker Mayfield, so I wanted to go back and compare him to the other four quarterbacks who were taken in the first round. So Baker Mayfield obviously was taken #1 overall by the Cleveland Browns. Then was Sam Darnold, taken 3rd overall by the New York Jets, followed by the 7th overall pick, Josh Allen, being taken by the Buffalo Bills. Then 10th overall by the Arizona Cardinals was Josh Rosen, and we know how that turned out. And then last but not least was the Baltimore Ravens picking Lamar Jackson 32nd overall. We have, I want to say, enough statistics on all of the quarterbacks to go who was a boom, who was a bust, who was worth what they actually were picked at. So let's get started. We're going to start with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's overall record with the Cleveland Browns is 16-19. He's thrown for 8,647 yards. He has 59 touchdowns with 41 interceptions. He has 6 game-winning drives and a 61.3 completion percentage, which was a lot better than what I was expecting. And when you start hearing some of the numbers for the other quarterbacks on this list, believe it or not, Baker Mayfield actually has thrown for the most yards of all of these other quarterbacks. Probably because his team were losing a lot of games and they were garbage time yards. But statistically speaking, the yards are there. The touchdowns are there. And because we don't want to be biased, I'm going to include some of the rushing yards. I know that I probably shouldn't, but Baker Mayfield has 309 career rushing yards. Now, obviously, this could change. By the next time they play again, he could end up having more, but that's what it is right now. The next guy on the list is going to be Josh Allen, and this is just how I wrote them down. It has no holding on their stats. I probably should have done it that way, but I was stupid. Josh Allen is 19-13 in his career with the Bills. He has a 58.9 completion percentage. He's thrown for 6,752 yards. He has 44 touchdowns with 24 interceptions. He has 10 game-winning drives, which is more than anybody else. He has 1,242 rushing yards with 20 rushing touchdowns. He has more rushing touchdowns in his career than Lamar Jackson. Let's put that in perspective, because when you're going to hear rushing numbers, you're going to automatically assume that Lamar Jackson would have the most rushing touchdowns, and that's actually false. The next guy on the list is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is 11-19 in his career with the New York Jets, and we know that his career isn't going to be much longer with the New York Jets. He has a 59.8 completion percentage. He has 6,681 passing yards, 39 touchdowns, 32 interceptions, 4 game-winning drives, and 317 yards rushing. I was more so surprised by the 4 game-winning drives because I honestly didn't realize that Sam Darnold had won more than 4 games. So good for him there. The next one is probably the biggest bust of this draft class in the first round, and that's Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen is 3-13 with a 54.8% completion percentage, 2,845 yards, 12 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. He also has 2 game-winning drives and 138 rushing yards. We know why he's on the bench. And then lastly, we have Lamar Jackson. He has a 24-4 record, which is the best record of all of the quarterbacks on this list. He has a 63.6% completion percentage for his career, which is also better than all of the other quarterbacks on this list. He's thrown for 5,463 yards, which is probably among one of the lower on the list, but still respectable. He has 52 touchdowns. He also has 11 interceptions, which is the fewest on this list. He has 3 game-winning drives, which when you're on the Ravens and they're dominant, you're not coming from behind very often, which would explain that. He has 2,247 rushing yards with 14 rushing touchdowns. So now you hear all of the stats. I didn't think that Lamar Jackson was completing the ball at that great of a rate. So if we're going by completion percentage, it would be Lamar and then Baker. And as painful as that is for me to say, I really did not think that Baker Mayfield was completing over 60% of his passes for his NFL career, which he is. Lamar is closer to the 65%, which, everybody kind of wants. Anything over 60 is good. When you start getting into the Drew Brees 70, 75%, that's like unheard of. when you look at this list, I was truly surprised. Baker Mayfield has the most passing touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, of this list, is second in completion percentage. He has the most passing yards. He has the most passing touchdowns and the second most game-winning drives. If you took his name away from this list and just told someone to pick out the best quarterback on this list, someone would probably pick Baker Mayfield second. Now, knowing what we know and knowing how valuable some of these players have been, we can look at this list and be a little bit more objective. So now, looking at this list and being more objective, I'm going to say, obviously, Lamar Jackson needs to be the #1 quarterback taken in this draft. He's an MVP. He proved it. Now, granted, had he been taken by the Browns, maybe not. He still is completing more passes than anyone else. He has the fewest interceptions of anyone else. And with the team that they have around him and the receivers that they have around him, would have had around him, his receivers in Cleveland would have been better than his receivers that he presently has in Baltimore. Second on the list, I'm going to say is going to have to be Josh Allen. Now, I'm putting these two guys ahead of Baker Mayfield only because they're not only dangerous with their arms, they're dangerous with their legs. 20 rushing touchdowns from Josh Allen and 14 rushing touchdowns from Lamar Jackson. That is insane. And if it wasn't for the completion percentage, you could probably argue that Josh Allen should have been taken 1. So this would be my take on the 5 quarterbacks taken in the 2018 NFL Draft. Lamar Jackson goes #1, Josh Allen goes #2, Baker Mayfield gets selected 3rd, Sam Darnold gets selected 4th, and Josh Rosen gets selected 5th. I know we're not talking about 1st, 2nd, 3rd overall. We're just talking about where they fell in their particular slot. That's the way that I think that it should be, and there's going to be a lot of people who feel differently. I have to give Baker Mayfield more credit than I have been because I wasn't expecting him to have the kind of numbers that he had compared to the other quarterbacks in his class. Although he has thrown more interceptions than any other quarterback in his class as well. It's just interesting to see that his completion percentage is great. He leads all of that class in touchdowns and passing touchdowns, and he leads that class in passing yards. So I have to tip my hat to Baker. I wasn't expecting him to have the numbers that he did, but I would still have selected him 3rd in this list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram @RawSportsTalk. Follow me on Twitter @RawSportsTalk1. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. I'm out.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it.